The prosecutor wasn't finished. "This defendant has consistently shown a lack of responsibility," Ms. Lane declared, her tone piercing through the room. "Her actions demonstrate a complete disregard for the law and for the community she claims to want to serve." Mia felt the heat rise in her chest, battling the urge to defend herself fiercely. Instead, she focused on the why of her actions, not the what. Mia's thoughts spiraled, taking her back to the choices that had landed her here. Each poor decision replayed like a haunting film reel, reminders that she had been more than just her mistakes. A daughter, a friend, an aspiring lawyer fighting for a better tomorrow. Judge Harper's gaze was fixed on her, and in his eyes, she searched for a flicker of understanding. Would he acknowledge her journey, the struggle that shaped her spirit? Or would he see her merely as a reflection of her failures? The internal turmoil was suffocating, yet with every heartbeat, her conviction solidified. With a sudden clarity, she spoke up again, her voice steadying as the weight of her past bore down. "I am not here to deny my past," she said, feeling the strength swell within. "I made choices I cannot change, but I have also learned from them. I have hope, and I want to channel that hope into action to help others." A murmur rippled through the courtroom, and for the first time, she caught a glimpse of a different expression on Judge Harper's face, a flicker of consideration. "Encouraged, Mia steadied herself. I know I have to face the consequences of my actions, but I also believe in redemption. I believe that people can change, and I want to prove that change is possible." Her voice carried power now, filled with determination and the weight of her lived experience. The focus shifted slightly, and she noticed Lisa nodding encouragingly. The moment felt charged, almost electric, as the room remained hushed, the anticipation palpable. Mia cast one more glance at Tasha, whose supportive expression fortified her resolve. Fighting back against the tide of judgment and despair was within her grasp, but it required bravery, an unwavering commitment to find her voice amid the noise. As Ms. Lane prepared to retort, Mia's heart raced. What would come next? Would she remain a victim of the labels the system had imposed upon her? Or would she rise, reclaiming her narrative? The stakes had never felt higher, yet amid the storm of doubt, the solid core of her purpose emerged. This courtroom was not merely a place of judgment. It was where she would reclaim her identity and fight for a future brimming with possibility. No longer defined by her past, Mia Thompson stood resolute, ready to battle, not just for her freedom, but for the chance to redefine who she was meant to be. Mia took a deep breath, grounding herself in the present moment. This was not just a trial. It was her chance to reclaim her life, to stand tall against the man who had hurt her most. As she sat quietly, steeling herself for what was to come, she felt an inner strength building. The courtroom might be filled with skeptics, but she had already started to rewrite her story. Mr. Roberts turned to Mia, his eyes encouraging. "You have a right to speak, Mia," he urged. The words sparked something within her. It was time for her voice to be heard, time to rise above the doubt that had clouded her spirit for far too long. Summoning every ounce of courage, Mia stood. The room fell silent once more, all eyes fixed on her as she took her place before the judge. With each word she spoke, she felt the weight of her father's judgment begin to lift. "I am not the person he describes," she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "I am a product of my choices, yes, but those choices do not define my worth. I have fought hard to overcome my struggles, and I refuse to let anyone, including my father, rewrite my narrative." She could see the surprised expressions on the faces of those in the gallery, the shock of witnessing her transformation evident. There was power in her truth, a declaration of her resilience that filled the courtroom with newfound energy. Mia continued, recounting the moments that had shaped her, the challenges she had faced, and how each one had contributed to the person she was becoming. As she spoke, she saw Tasha nodding, a supportive smile on her face, and it spurred her on further. "I have learned from my mistakes," Mia declared. "I am not ashamed of my past, but I will no longer allow it to dictate my future. I am strong, and I am capable of forging a new path for myself." The tension in the courtroom shifted, and a murmur of approval rippled through the gallery. For the first time, Mia felt as if she were truly being seen. With each word, she pieced together the broken parts of her identity, reclaiming her voice and her narrative from the shadows that had haunted her. As she wrapped up her statement, Mia caught a glimpse of her father. His expression was one of confusion and anger, but that no longer mattered. She had found her power and her place. With the trial resuming, Mia took her seat beside Mr. Roberts, her heart racing but her spirit soaring. She had faced the darkness head-on, and in that moment, she felt unstoppable. The prosecution's case might be strong, but her resolve was stronger. No one could take away her journey, the lessons she had learned, or the woman she was becoming. The courtroom buzzed anew, a mixture of hope and anticipation embracing the air around her. As she continued to rise to the occasion, Mia knew she would face whatever came next with the strength of all who believed in her. This was her moment, not just to defend herself, but to truly embrace who she was, who she would become, and the future she was determined to create. "Your Honor," Mr. Roberts began, his voice steady, "I would like to call Mia Thompson to the stand." The words hung in the air, heavy with expectation. Mia's heart raced, a whirlwind of fear and courage swirling within her. This was it, her chance to confront her father, to reclaim her narrative and stand up for herself. As she made her way to the witness stand, Mia felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through her veins. The weight of her past failures threatened to pull her down, but she steeled herself, drawing on the resilience she had cultivated through her struggles. She took a deep breath, steadying her nerves as she faced the judge, the jury, and most importantly, her father. "Ms. Thompson," Mr. Roberts prompted gently, "can you tell the court how your father's words have affected you?" Mia hesitated, the words catching in her throat. She could feel the tension in the room, the collective breath held in anticipation. Then, she found her voice. "My father's words have hurt me deeply, but they do not define who I am. I have made mistakes, yes, but I have also learned and grown from them. I am not the person he claims I am." With each word, she felt the chains of his betrayal begin to shatter. The room felt electric, charged with the energy of her newfound strength. "I have faced challenges that have tested me, but I refuse to be a victim of my past. I am determined to rise above it. I am more than his judgment and more than Ms. Lane's accusations." As she spoke, Mia caught Tasha's eye, a silent affirmation that she was not alone in this fight. The bond they had forged through adversity became her anchor, a reminder of the support that had carried her through the darkest moments. This was a declaration not just for herself, but for every girl who had ever felt diminished by the words of others. "Your Honor," her father interjected, his voice laced with disbelief. "This is absurd. She's lying to herself. She'll never change." Mia's heart raced as she met his gaze, a fire igniting within her.
"No, Dad.
"I'm not lying. I'm reclaiming my truth. You may see me as a failure, but I see a woman who has fought hard to stand here today. I'm not the girl who made those mistakes anymore. I'm someone who has learned from them, someone who has the strength to move forward." The courtroom held its breath as she continued, her voice gaining momentum. "I've faced my demons. I've sought help. I've worked hard. And I've surrounded myself with people who lift me up rather than tear me down. I am not ashamed of my journey. I embrace it. It has shaped me into the person I am today." The emotional impact of her words rippled through the courtroom. Mia could see the surprise on the faces of the jury, the flicker of recognition in their eyes. This was not just a defense against her father's accusations. It was a declaration of her autonomy, her strength, and her willingness to forge her own path. As the tension reached its peak, Mia realized that this moment was not just about winning the trial. It was about winning back her self-worth. She had faced the greatest obstacle, her father's betrayal and the weight of his expectations, and emerged with a clarity that had eluded her for so long. When she stepped down from the stand, Mia felt lighter, as if the burdens she had carried for so long had been lifted. She had confronted her past and faced her father with courage and conviction. The courtroom buzzed with energy, the stakes high, but Mia knew she had done what she came to do. Redefine herself, reclaim her story, and rise from the ashes of betrayal. As the trial continued, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. The outcome remained uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, Mia Thompson knew she was more than her mistakes. She was a warrior, ready to embrace the future. The courtroom settled into a tense silence after Mia's powerful declaration. The jury exchanged glances, a subtle shift in their posture indicating they were weighing her words carefully. The atmosphere crackled with a sense of change, as if the air itself was charged with the possibility of newfound understanding. For Mia, the moment felt surreal. She had not only confronted her father, but she had also stood firm in her truth, a truth that resonated far beyond the confines of the courtroom. As the trial progressed, the impact of Mia's courageous stand rippled through her life and those around her. Her father's demeanor shifted visibly. The disbelief in his eyes turned to something resembling regret. While he had once wielded his words like weapons, now they seemed to falter against the strength of his daughter's resolve. Mia felt a pang of something close to compassion for him, recognizing that his inability to see her growth was a reflection of his own struggles. Yet, she also understood that she would no longer allow his limitations to define her. In the days that followed, Mia found herself enveloped by the support of her friends and community. Tasha, who had been her rock throughout the ordeal, organized a small gathering to celebrate Mia's bravery. Surrounded by laughter and love, Mia felt the weight of her past lift further away. The shared joy was a balm to her spirit, a reaffirmation that she was not alone in her journey. Each hug and encouraging word reminded her of how far she had come, and how her actions had inspired those around her to embrace their own truths. As she reflected on her journey, Mia realized that she had transformed not only herself but also the perceptions of others. She had shattered the narrative that her father had constructed, and in doing so, she had empowered herself and those who had witnessed her growth. The memories of her struggles became stepping stones, guiding her toward a future filled with possibility. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for the challenges she had faced. They had forged her into a resilient woman who was ready to reclaim her narrative. However, the path ahead wasn't without its shadows. The trial had exposed deep fissures in her family dynamic, and Mia knew that rebuilding her relationship with her father would take time and effort. But she felt anew,